Hey, no! Oh my gosh, you're such a bad example for your brother. Hey guys, so a lot of you have asked me how I go about cleaning my Vitamix when I'm finished making a batch of raw cat food. So I'm going to show you, and I'm going to start from this step for a reason, which you will see. But here you can see I have all of the meat and the skins chopped up in my giant bowl that I've used all of these years because there's been no reason to replace it, really. And here in my Vitamix, I have the weighed out chicken hearts. Honey, hi. Okay, here. There you go. So back to this. In here, I have the chicken hearts, chicken livers, all weighed out properly. I use my own calculator on catladyfitness.com. No! Puppy, you being a bad boy. Let's try this again. Chicken hearts, chicken livers. I put the fish oil capsules in there. I didn't squeeze them out. Sometimes I squeeze them out like I've showed you guys in past videos. Other times I just throw the whole capsule in there. The egg yolks I put in here. I just put all of the supplements in here this time, which occasionally, actually, when I have more time, I'll actually split the supplements so that I only put the fat soluble in here, and then I'll put the water soluble vitamins and usually the salt. I just sprinkle it all through here, but I'm not neurotic about it. Sometimes I just dump them all in here. So that is what I did this time. So in order to show you how I clean out my Vitamix, I'm starting from this step because I make a double batch which uses 2 cups of water. So I put in usually, half, usually around 1 cup of water in here with this and blend it up, pour it all in here. Let me go ahead and do that. And I just realized something. A lot of you are probably saying, well, you didn't mention the bones. I thought you put the bones in here. I used to. If you're new here and you've only seen the videos I put on how to make raw cat food from like 2016 to probably 2018, you notice that I used to grind up the bones. If you've been here since then you already know this, but I actually stopped grinding up the bones and switched to using this MCHA instead, which I've made plenty of videos, and if you are new here, I highly suggest binge watching the cat stuff playlist because you'll learn about all this. But I use this instead for a couple of reasons. One, I did notice after doing this once or twice a month for a couple of years, I could start to see nothing major, but just, some little scratches to the inside. I don't know if you can really, no, you can't even see them because you have to be looking from the inside, but just like, tiny little scratches on the insides from when I would grind up the bones. And then in addition to that, like I shared in a video, there were times where I couldn't finish the process of grinding up the bones either because it was so loud and I had to make the food so late and I wanted to be courteous to my neighbors who are on the other side of this wall, and it's a very thin wall. Or there was one time, or maybe even 2 times, where the power went out when I was in the middle or close to finishing up grinding up the bones and I couldn't finish, and it ended up leaving these huge shards in the food that I kind of had to pick out of their food the entire batch. So there's a number of reasons. This stuff is great. I'll link the video below where I talk a little bit more about this. I do have a webpage explaining the different substitutions you can use and explaining why MCHA would be your best option if you can't reliably grind up the bones each time. So yes, the bones are not included in this, but I would clean my Vitamix the same exact way when I did used to grind up the bones. So that is what this video is about. So that's what I'm showing you. So here you can see it is like a puree almost. So now I'm going to pour this into the meat as best as possible. All right, so you can see it is scraped out really, really well. A spatula is your best friend when it comes to most all of this. So then what I do is take the rest of the water for the batch, I'll put it back in, I'll put the lid back on, and then at the highest speed, which I will turn it up to, I'll let it go for maybe 30 seconds to a minute, and it scrapes down all of the stuff that's left in here, so we make sure that we get all of it into the food. I've always kind of been a little bit anal about this, even when watching cooking shows and they don't like scrape all of the batter to make a cake. I'm like, oh, you left so much in the bowl. Like I said, I put all of the supplements in here, so there's a good bit of the supplements stuck on all of this raw cat food organ batter, if you will. And it also helps to clean this out at the same time. So let's do that. Voila, it's like magic. There's still some left on here, but we'll get that when we pour it out. And the next thing I do is go ahead and rinse this out really well in the sink to where all of that stuff is off and it's clear. Gotta get the lid too. I will then get some soap. This is the soap I have right now. It's an all-natural soap. Whatever soap you have is fine, doesn't matter. Put not much, just a little bit of soap in the Vitamix. Puppy, no! Oh my gosh, you're such a bad example for your brother. Puppy, where's your discipline? Scoot, scoot, scoot. Get out of the kitchen. Alfred. Oh, for goodness sake. Okay, well, so I filled this with a little bit of soap, and then we're gonna make sure the water is really hot. Fill it up with maybe a cup of water, not even that much. Put it back on the Vitamix, and I also add just a splash of regular white vinegar. And I always have lemons quartered in my fridge. So I will add a lemon quarter in here, just a whole one, just like that. And this combination is the best one I've come up with, not only to fully clean it, but to also just completely neutralize any potential odors that might kind of linger in there. When I just used soap in the past, I noticed that there might still be a lingering smell, like you can tell perhaps some meat was chopped up in there. But this combination right here is super effective for when you're making your raw cat food. Now, if I'm making anything else in here, probably because a lot of the foods I eat are very easily washed off, it's usually like a vegetable soup or something like that, then just soap and water is perfectly efficient and just fine. But when making raw cat food, a little bit of water, a little bit of soap, splash of white vinegar, a quarter of a lemon, and then I just turn it on. And I'll slowly turn this all the way up to 10 and let it sit at that for at least 1 to 2 minutes. You could see the soap comes out of the top. It really gets in the whole thing. This is how you're supposed to clean your Vitamix anyway. This is what is suggested whenever you're finished using it, no matter what you make. While this is still kind of going a little bit like this, and while it was going, I actually mixed up this batch. And that's usually what I do, is I'll mix it while that's going. By the way, Puppy never jumps up here and does stuff like that. I have a video in another couple of days, or definitely by next week, something having to do with crap commercial cat food. Very obviously altered his behavior recently. I will share more about that in the next video. It draws interesting parallels to humans, I think, too. But anyway, so that's pretty much good for this. I will turn it off. So then I rinse this off again. Grab this, dump it out, rinse this out again. And then once I do the rest of the utensils and things involved in making the food, once I clean those things with just like a sponge and soap, I'll just kind of give this another wash with a sponge, being really, you guys have to be so careful with the blades at the bottom, especially if you just got your Vitamix. They are so incredibly sharp. I can't tell you how many times I've cut myself on those, just not being very careful. I really like to use the sponge to get up in these edges, especially the spout right here, and also for the lid. And then I let it air dry, by the way. I just put it on the dish rack, let it air dry, and that is what we do. So that is how I clean my Vitamix. I hope that helped you guys out. I hope it works for you. Let me know in the comments below if you have a different approach. I would love to hear about it. If you want to be a part of the Cat Lady Fitness family, wet hand, then make sure you click that subscribe button below, as well as the little bell icon. Hi, Alfred. Yeah, no. If you're wondering what this bell is, that's for a future video too. I am actually attempting to bell train. Not him so much, because he's pretty special, but Puppy at least, so stay tuned for that. Please click the thumbs up below if you liked this video, found it helpful. That really helps this channel out and helps me out and the boys. This isn't the Alfred show, honey. I put out videos every week on everything from cat stuff, especially feline nutrition, raw cat food, DIY cat toys, to videos of the boys wrestling, as brothers do, to stuff for humans like stress management tips, workouts, recipes, fragrance reviews, and honestly, whatever else I feel like posting. So I hope to see you here next week. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. You want to say thank you. And we will all see you in the next video. Bye! Oh, he waved. You're so good.